Starting in 2026, health insurance premiums could more than double for millions of early retirees. We're talking about $50,000 or more in potential extra costs for health insurance before Medicare. That is absolutely catastrophic because ACA subsidies are the only thing making early retirement affordable for millions of people. And those subsidies expire at the end of this year. I'm Eric Amzalag, certified financial planner and owner of Peak Financial Planning, and today I'm going to show you three things. First, we're going to look at the real numbers. I'm going to lean on some data from the Kaiser Family Foundation. We're going to show you exactly what this looks like for actual early retirees and why some people are about to get hit harder than others. The second thing we're going to look at is how we got here, why Congress has known about this for years but waited until the last minute to do anything about it. And then finally, we're going to talk about what you need to do in the next 60 days before the end of this year to protect yourself, whether Congress acts on this or not. But before I show you any of that, I need to tell you about the one income threshold that determines whether you're about to face a massive bill or whether you'll be fine. And most people have no idea what that number is for their household. Let's get right into it. Let me show you what this actually looks like. Meet a 60-year-old married couple living in California. They are already retired. Their household income is $95,000 a year, and right now they're paying $675 per month for health insurance. So that's $8,100 per year. Not great, but manageable. On January 1st, 2026, if nothing changes and Congress doesn't act, that couple's premium jumps to $1,950 per month or $23,400 per year. That's an increase of $15,300 a year. And over 5 years until Medicare, we're talking about $76,500 in additional health insurance premiums. Now, here's the one thing. That number, that $95,000 in household income, that is the key because that couple is sitting just above a specific threshold, which is 400% of the federal poverty level. The federal poverty level, 400% of the federal poverty level would be $84,600 for a married couple. And that threshold is about to become the dividing line between this hurts, but I can manage it to this just destroyed my retirement plan. So remember a few days ago, I just released this video talking about how you can control your modified adjusted gross income, and it could get you nearly free health insurance. Well, that strategy is about to become either your lifeline or completely worthless. And it all depends on what Congress does in the next 60 days. And that couple we just talked about from California, they're not alone. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation's analysis, in 328 congressional districts across America, which is about 75% of all districts, 60-year-old couples just above that threshold would see their premiums triple or more. This isn't a regional problem, right? This is everywhere. So let's explain how we got here and why this is such a mess. Here's what most people don't know. Those subsidies keeping health care affordable for 22 million people in the United States, they were temporarily enhanced back in 2021 under the American Rescue Plan. And then in 2022, they were extended through 2025 under the Inflation Reduction Act. Both times, Congress knew these were temporary. Both times, they kicked the can down the road. And now we're 60 days from expiration and Congress still hasn't acted. Here's what those enhanced subsidies did. First, they removed the income cap. So before 2021, if your household income was above 400% of the federal poverty level, so that $84,600 threshold I just mentioned, you got zero help on your health insurance premiums. You paid full price for your plan. But with the enhancements in 2021, that cap disappeared. So if you earned $95,000 or you earned $150,000, you could still qualify for help as long as your premiums were more than 8.5% of your income. The second thing that happened is for people below that threshold, the amount that they had to pay in terms of premiums dropped dramatically. So instead of paying as high as 9.5% of your income in health insurance premiums, that ARPA Act in 2021 made it so you'd pay as little as maybe 2 or 3% of your actual income. And those changes made early retirement financially possible for millions of people. But Congress designed those to expire, and now they have. And here's what makes me angry about all this, right? Your healthcare costs really shouldn't be a political football, but that's exactly what's happening. And I'm not advocating for the government to subsidize all healthcare all time. I'm just saying we need predictability and clarity when it comes to planning and creating this policy gap or this kind of cliff in the policy where it makes it very difficult for people to plan. The impact of all of this is going to be quite brutal, in my opinion. So what actually happens on January 1st if Congress doesn't extend these subsidies? Well, everything is going to revert back to those old rules before 2021, which means that first, the 400% income cap comes back. And so if your household income is literally $1 above $84,600, if you're a married couple, you would lose all subsidy eligibility. It's not, you don't lose some of it, doesn't trickle, you just lose all of it. It's a complete cliff. Second, even if you're under that threshold, the percentage of income you are going to pay towards health insurance goes way up. How much are we actually talking here? Well, according to the latest research from the Kaiser Family Foundation, the average premium payments would more than double. We're talking about a 114% increase. And before you think, well, I'll just buy a cheaper plan, let me stop you right there. Even the cheapest bronze plans are going to see large, substantial premium increases. There's just nowhere to hide when it comes to this. Now, if you're currently paying, let's say, $888 per year after subsidies, you would jump to as high as $1,904 per year. But here's the thing. Those are just average numbers, right? And averages hide the real pain. And here's where things get truly weird. If you spent the last 3 years doing everything you were told to do, right? Doing Roth conversions, managing your modified adjusted gross income, timing your Social Security, right? All the by-the-book actions to keep your income low and qualify for these subsidies, all of that planning could just be worthless come January 1st, right? You may have done everything right. You followed your strategy, you optimized your withdrawals, and here we are, and you're just going to have the rug pulled out from under you. Now, some of you are probably thinking, Eric, won't Congress just extend these subsidies? They can't just let this happen. And the answer is maybe. I really honestly don't know. Here's what I do know. There is bipartisan support for extending these subsidies, but there's also massive concern about the cost. The Congressional Budget Office says making these permanent would cost about $350 billion over 10 years. And right now, Congress is focused on a dozen other priorities. They've had years to pay attention to this and make it permanent to fix it. They waited until the last minute. And so here's my take. I hope that they extend these, but I'm not betting my clients' retirements on Congress doing that. And so here's what happens if Congress does nothing. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, estimates that 2.2 million people will lose their health insurance in 2026 if these subsidies expire, right? Now, I didn't say they would pay more. I said they would lose coverage entirely because they simply can't afford it. Which brings me to what you actually need to do, because unlike Congress, you can't afford to wait. You have 60 days, right? So here are 3 numbers you need to know right now. The first number is you need to know your modified adjusted gross income for 2026. That's not your spending dollars. That's not your portfolio balance. We're talking about your modified adjusted gross income. I showed in the prior video earlier this week how to calculate it. You should go ahead and watch that and then calculate it and figure out where you sit relative to that threshold. For a married couple, we're talking about needing to stay below a modified adjusted gross income of $84,600. For a single person, it's $56,300. And so the question becomes, once you calculate what your expected MAGI will be in 2026, are you above that 400% of federal poverty line? Are you below it? Are you close enough that a small change could push you over? You need to know this number. The second thing to know is your distance from that cliff. So model what your premiums would look like if the subsidies expire versus if they're extended. And then, in my opinion, plan for the worst case. If you're close to that threshold, even small changes to your income could push you over. And so review your withdrawal sequencing, review your Roth conversions, review when you're planning to claim Social Security. This is not the time to operate on autopilot. It's a good time to do a full refresh on your plan. And then the third thing to check here is your backup plan, right? If premiums spike by $10,000 or $15,000 a year for your household, where does that money come from? What spending gets cut if you need to cut spending? Do you delay retirement? Do you go back to work part-time? These aren't fun conversations, but they're probably necessary ones. And here is the hardest truth, right? If you're someone who is planning to retire at 62 or 63 specifically because you could manage healthcare costs through subsidized ACA coverage, you might need to reconsider that timeline. Not because early retirement is impossible, but because the math just changed. And hoping Congress fixes this at the last minute isn't really a plan. Look, I don't like to make videos like this to scare you. Right? I'm going to make these because too many retirees get blindsided by policy changes that they never saw coming and don't even get a say in. And so if you want your help running your specific numbers and figuring out how this whole situation could affect your retirement plan, you can click the first link in the description below. I've got a free resource that guides you through the 4 steps that we use to help people build the retirement of their dreams. And you can watch that video in order to think through different and model different scenarios. The window to prepare for this experience, these healthcare subsidies, is closing. So don't wait until January 2026 to figure out you have a problem. Your retirement shouldn't depend on whether Congress does its job. But right now, for millions of early retirees, it kind of does. So run the numbers, build your backup plan, and make your decisions with your eyes open, not based on the hope that politicians will do something in your favor. Thank you, as always, for your time and attention. See you in the next video.